and it was a shitty ass job in a meat packing plant. And I had just lost the job because they had a recall on their product. They had gotten wood chips in all of their onions that they were putting in these burgers. So they were getting wood chips in the burgers essentially. And this is one of the biggest suppliers for Walmart. And they had to recall a ton of product. So they let go of all of their their temp service employees. And so I found myself still at the Salvation Army, no job. My bus pass had recently been stolen, and now my glasses are crushed, and I can't see. Without my glasses, all I can see are shapes and colors unless I'm close up. And I was drinking a lot of fucking cough syrup, a lot of Robitussin cough syrup, a lot of Delsum cough syrup, basically anything with DXM as the main active ingredient, as the only active ingredient. The only active ingredient. You fuck with anything else, you're gonna get sick. And that shit'll fuck you up. And it's basically been my go-to high for 5 years because it's easy to get. It's always there. They don't test for it. Nobody tests for fucking cough syrup. So under no circumstances do I have to worry about a failed drug test, which is something I did have to be concerned with at the Salvation Army. Because, if anybody suspects you, I was suspected of smoking weed, which I had done. I had been smoking weed. I bought probably 2 grams from a friend, and I put it in a Gatorade bottle, and I buried it in the snow out in the field behind the shelter, and I would go out there and smoke like once a day and think that if I walked around and spray a bunch of fucking cologne on, by the time I got back into the shelter, nobody would smell it, but somebody did. And somebody reported it, and they came in the room, and they did another room search, and they smelled my jacket, and it clearly smelled like weed. But they didn't find any weed anywhere, and they told me that I would have to take a drug test. And I was like, all right, whatever, I'll take a drug test. And it was a fucking $45 drug test that I had to pay for. And I don't have a job at the time. I'm in a fucking homeless shelter, and they tell me I got to pay $45 to do this test. And if I don't do it, I'm on the street. And I know if I do it, I'm going to fail and be on the street. So I talked the guy into letting me buy a $10 test or like a $15 test from Walgreens instead. And I could just do it right there at the shelter. And I got really lucky. I didn't know if he was gonna observe it or anything like that. I didn't know how it was gonna go down. But I strapped a fucking bottle of clean piss that I'd gotten from my roommate. I'd basically taped it to my nutsack. And, he actually observed, but he said, I'm not gonna look at your dick. I'm just gonna stand behind you and watch and listen. And it just magically worked out that, I fucking faked the test, didn't get kicked out, and, I saved face. But the whole point is I've got to get back to my glasses. I lost my glasses, and so I was essentially blind. And that's when I felt the most hopeless. I didn't know how I was going to get glasses. Thankfully, my mom bought me, she paid for me to get some glasses. But during those 2 weeks, especially that first week when I had no idea what I was going to do, I had to cross a very busy freeway, a very busy 4-lane freeway to get to any of the stores from the homeless shelter. And that's why I had to go every day across this 4-lane freeway, in both directions, in order to get my cough syrup. I just dropped my fucking phone again, motherfucker. Because I was stealing it from the stores, from the Target. And there's like 3 or 4 stores over there. They all carried, and I stole from a different store each time. That's, to be completely honest, that's how I got almost all of my cough syrup over the last 5 years. I fucking stole it. And we're talking thousands of dollars worth of cough syrup. Thousands of dollars worth of cough syrup. But that's where I had to go to get it, and that's what I did. I crossed this 4-lane freeway that people have died at in the past. People have committed suicide there in the past because there's no stoplight. It's a 10-minute walk to the nearest stoplight, which is fucking ridiculous. And people at the homeless shelter had committed suicide there in the past. It's a very well-known spot for accidental deaths and suicides. They've been talking about putting an overpass there for a couple of years, but the city doesn't really give a fuck about the homeless, to be honest. So anyway, I was blind as a fucking bat, and crossing this freeway at night, which is even worse. It's not worse because I could at least see the lights coming. During the day, the cars just, if it was like a gray car, it just fucking blended in with the street until it was close, and it was fucked up. And at night, I could see the lights of the cars, but I had absolutely no depth perception. I couldn't tell how far away the cars were. I couldn't tell how fast they were going, and I couldn't tell if I had enough time to get across the freeway. So it was very risky, very scary, and a lot of the times I was already fucked up. I was already high as shit, because at least if you take enough of these syrups, if you take the certain kinds, especially the Delsums, any of the ones with the polyesterics, plastic, it's an edible plastic coating that they put over the main ingredient to cause like a time release type thing. And so you can be fucked up on these things for a long time. You know, if you drink 2 or 3 bottles of Delsum, and your stomach manages to keep it down, because I'm telling you, this is not a drug habit you want to pick up, because you're going to spend a lot of time puking. You're going to spend a lot of time puking, but to me, once the high kicked in, it was worth it. But I can't even tell you how many times I've been sitting there puking and miserable and asking myself, what the fuck am I doing? Why would I do this to myself? And then 20 minutes later, I'm like, oh, I get it. I get it now. But each time it gets shittier and shittier. Like I still occasionally do it, but it's at a point where I hate it so much, and I've been fighting this particular demon for so long, and there's no fucking there's no rehab really for Robitussin, and I don't really, a rehab isn't really what I need. Basically, I'm just self-medicating and alleviating my depression and my shitty mindset with, I was just escaping is all it was. It wasn't really an addiction. It's not really an addiction. It was more, my life is so fucking terrible. I need a way out. I need not a way out, but a way, what's the proper way of putting it? A way to ignore it. Yeah, that's really, I just needed a way to ignore it. I could deal with it in short bursts. I could deal with it for, a week or 2, maybe 3, but at least once every 3 weeks, I would get royally fucked up. And we're talking, this is like a day, this is like a 24 to 32 hour process, depending on, because a lot of the times, I would get really fucking high, and then as I started to come down, I would go get more, back to crossing the freeway without glasses. I would start to come down. I've already been high all night long. I drank the shit at 9-10 o'clock the night before. I'm high all night long, laying in my bed, everyone else is asleep, and I'm on the internet. I'm probably on Facebook, listening to music, watching something. I don't know. I'm in my head. I'm in my own fucking universe that I've built inside my mind. And by 9-10 o'clock in the morning, I'm on the tail end, and it's time to get dressed, because now I can leave the building. Time to get dressed and shuffle my way out of the building. I'm so surprised I don't know how anybody couldn't tell that. I mean, you can't. It's so fucking hard to walk in a straight line when you're on fucking Robitussin. I mean, the shit fucks. I guess I've done it so fucking much that I can. I mean, it's hard. You have to know me. Like, you have to know me to know that I'm high. If you don't know me, you'd never. You couldn't. That's not true. My eyes get buggy as fuck. My friend Gabriel would be like, nigga, you could tell. Just one look at those eyes, nigga. Because he would give me so much shit. He would see me at the store sometimes. Because I had taken a trip up there to get some more. And he would fucking see me and he'd laugh at me. But it's not fucking funny. I don't know why I'm laughing. So yeah, I'd go back to get more. So I'm taking this trip not only blind as fuck, but a lot of the times I'm really high. And it's probably on average around 5 to 25 degrees below zero. This shit's fucking, there's snow everywhere, there's ice everywhere. This is a very unsafe thing for me to be doing. And one of those times, I stood on the side of the freeway within 5 feet of the passing traffic, just staring at the shapes and colors as they got closer and come into focus, and then they would fucking rush by. And I honestly can't tell you how long I stood there staring at them, thinking about walking out in front of one of them. It felt like a long time, but I'd be lying if I gave it a guess, or I'd just be guessing. It felt like a long time. It felt like a very. Had anybody seen me, they would have been concerned. And everyone driving by saw me, but I guess they didn't know how long I had been standing. If anybody had been watching the whole time, they would have been concerned for sure. And the whole time I'm sitting there thinking of all the reasons that, all the reasons why it would be just so much simpler to just give up right then and there, to just step out in front of that fucking car like others have before me. A lot of others have before me. But I thought of the number one reason. There's two equally important reasons why I didn't. The first one, and probably most important one, is that there is a small handful of people who would be devastated if I just up and checked out. They would be devastated. Close friends, and at least 2 close family members. And I think there's probably a significant portion of my Facebook friends list who would be emotionally impacted. You know, I feel like that's a fair thing to say. You know, a lot of my Facebook motherfuckers, you know, my Facebook niggas like me. But the second reason, and to me equally as important, is I felt like if I fucking give up now, everything is for, it was for nothing. Nothing positive came out of these experiences. Nothing was gained. You know, I didn't learn anything. I wasn't able to take these experiences and transmute them into something positive to share with someone else, whether, you know, in the form of fucking wisdom or whatever. You know, nothing would have been gained from me checking out, other than I no longer have to put up with the bullshit and I can give up, and I don't have to go through the struggle of climbing this fucking mountain in front of me. And it was a mountain. I was so far at the bottom. I wasn't even at base camp. You understand? I wasn't even at base camp yet. And this shit was the emotional mount